e akiti tuba bang nangen no yalti sare no satti yimbe ben no tampi hay jibe ben no feti kini onon kadi non tampi na men do fi budi tertola
mi enne en yaadai
a feti
but serious news but feeling hard
I am Chad Reed and I'm teaching History 12 right now in Block 1. And our class has been talking about the nationalism of various countries, the sovereignty of different countries in Africa and Asia, the war experience in the 20th century right now. And we've studied a little bit in terms of child soldiers and what it means to interview people who have lived in the past and try to learn from the people of the past, whether it's Holocaust survivors or civil rights movement activists or people in different wars, war veterans. And I thought it would be a great opportunity to bring in the Innocence Lost Foundation in regards to the war experience in Sierra Leone in the 20th century and have us learn about what life was like in Africa in the 20th century, even just a couple decades ago, and to learn about the war experience. Innocence Lost has been doing really great work in regards to trying to help out people in that war-torn region of Western Africa. And I thought it would be a great experience to hear firsthand what it's like and the work that Innocence Lost has been doing. So I invited Ava, Fazineh, and Jacqueline to come to speak to my History 12 class. And for the rest of you, thanks for coming. I'd also like to welcome Mr. Starchuk, City Councilor, who has been gracious enough to watch the proceedings and visit Elgin Park. And so please give a warm round of applause for Mr. Starchuk for being here.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much for having us here today. My name is Ava.
I'm Fazineh. We're the founders of Innocence Lost Foundation.
And we're here today to talk to you about our goals of rehabilitating child soldiers. And we're here to talk to you about our nonprofit foundation that we founded. Fazineh was a child soldier in the Sierra Leone Civil War, and so he's going to share with you guys his story and talk to you about his country, Sierra Leone, and the Civil War that they went through. So, child soldiers, how many of you here know about child soldiers and have learned about them before? You can raise your hands. That's awesome. That's really great. I'm super happy to hear that. So when you hear the words child and soldier together, you think that's something that shouldn't happen in the world, but it actually is occurring all around the world right now. There's countries all across the world that are using children in conflict. Next. So it's estimated that there's up to 300,000 children that are being used in conflicts around the world right now. And anyone who's under 18 that's involved in an armed group or a rebel group is considered a child soldier. And a lot of people don't know that up to 40% are girls. Now, I don't think my microphone's working, so these children, they can be kidnapped and forced into these groups, and sometimes their circumstances force them into the group. So if they don't have food, water, or shelter, or a family to take care of them, sometimes to survive, they join up into the army or into an armed group, just to survive through a war or conflict that's happening in their country.
Kids can be used as spies and cooks, servants. Sometimes they can be used in the front lines, and there are certain times when kids are used as human shield. For example, if they're fighting in this area and the militia the kids are fighting for realize they're losing the fight and they want to retreat, what they would do is they won't just turn their backs and run because you can't outrun bullet. So what they would do is they'll place these kids in strategic positions, like inside the building, on a tall tree, and tell these kids not to move, because it came to the point where they have to make sacrifices to save the rest of the militia. So they place these kids in strategic positions. Sometimes they tell them, we're gonna go get reinforcement, we'll come back for you. But all they were doing is they place them there so these kids stop the enemies from following them while they have time to escape. And in places like the Middle East, with Boko Haram in Nigeria and other places, kids are indoctrinated and used as suicide bombers.
And this is happening all across the world. We have a map here with some countries that you can see. It's happening in Central and South America in the drug wars. Kids get used. It's happening all across Africa in different countries, and in Central and South Asia, and in the Middle East. So it's quite widespread. In every conflict that's happening around the world right now, children are being used in the conflict and they get caught up in it. So we wanted to come together and we wanted to do something to help to end child soldiering. We wanted to bring awareness to this issue, and we wanted to help with after-war care of children. So when children go through this and they're forced to be in a militia group and they're fighting, it causes a lot of trauma, and there's post-traumatic stress disorder. And so kids need rehabilitation after war, therapy programs, and we want to provide education and skills training. So we decided to start our own nonprofit foundation. Next slide. And so we created Innocence Lost Foundation with our mission being, next slide please, to create and build rehabilitation centers for child soldiers and youth in Africa. So we want to provide community spaces, we want to have places for kids when they're rescued to go to, get them out of the conflict zone, get them back into school, get them into skills training programs and art and sport therapy programs. This happened in 2013. It started when I became Miss British Columbia. So I held the title of Miss BC 2013 to 14. And this was a pageant that I participated in. During the pageant, we did a lot of self-esteem programs. It was a personality-based pageant, and it was charity work-based. So we had to all have a platform, and I chose my platform being rehabilitation of child soldiers because Fazineh's story inspired me for that. And so during my year as Miss BC, we decided that we should start this nonprofit organization instead of waiting for someday in the future. Because Fazineh and I always knew that we wanted to do humanitarian work one day, and that this was something that we were interested in. And so we thought, why not start now with this opportunity, and instead of waiting for someday, just get it started. So Fazineh's story inspired me, and that's how it came about. So I want to pass it over to Fazineh now. He's going to talk to you guys about where he's from and the country that he grew up in.
I was born in Sierra Leone. It's on the west coast of Africa. Sierra Leone shares border with Guinea, Liberia, and the Atlantic Ocean. It's been inhabited for about 2,500 years, but it was founded in 1462 by a Portuguese explorer called Pedro da Center. And when he arrived in Sierra Leone in his boat, the first thing he saw was the mountain, and for some reason he thought the mountain is shaped like a lion, so he decided to call it Serra da Loya, which is Lion Mountain in Portuguese, but the name later got misspelled and it becomes Sierra Leone, which I like better. Our capital city, Freetown, was founded actually by Nova Scotian settlers from Canada. But these Nova Scotian settlers are black loyalists. I don't know if you guys have studied the American War of Independence. Maybe you have. During the American War of Independence, there were blacks who fought on the side of Britain and Britain promised them that they would give them their freedom, they would give them lands. These blacks were slaves. But Britain lost the war, America won the war, and America gained their independence. So Britain decided to ship some of these black loyalists to Nova Scotia. So when they arrived in Nova Scotia, most of them didn't get the lands that were promised to them, and they faced intense hardship. So a humanitarian group decided to ship some of them to Sierra Leone. So in 1792, they arrived by the coast of Freetown. If you see behind the cotton tree, you see the water by the side. So they arrived at the coast, and then they brushed their way up to the cotton tree, and then they started building settlements around the cotton tree. So the cotton tree is the heart of Freetown. They call it Freetown as a monument for freedom. But I wasn't born in Freetown. I was born in Kabala, which is on the north of Sierra Leone. Kabala is right up there in the mountains, kind of like DC, but not really. We gained independence from Britain in 1961. Following independence, Sierra Leone was governed by one corrupt government after another. They mismanaged the natural resources. We have diamond, gold, bauxite, rutile. They were selling all the natural resources, and they were exporting the money to foreign banks. They were keeping it in Norway, in Brussels, and other places. They keep the money, while the people of the country were suffering. So before the war started, a lot of people weren't able to send their kids to school. A lot of families weren't able to take care of their children. So my mom, who lived in the town, those are my two sisters. I had 4 sisters. I was left with 2 after the war. The one on the left, she's really bit crazy, like really stubborn. So my mom realized she couldn't afford to pay my school fees, so she did, who was a diamond dealer in Tongafield. So before I left, the day before I left, my younger sister, she would like follow me wherever I go, because I had my crew when I was 5. I had a group of kids who go around with steal mangoes, but she kept following me, and like I got really, really mad, and I started screaming at her, "Get away from me, go home." So she went home and told my mom that we're gonna go steal some mangoes. So I went with my friends who went, and I climbed up the mango tree. They were supposed to watch out for me and inform me if someone else is coming. And I was up there, they saw the farmer coming. Instead of warning me, they just ran. So I was left up there, and then the farmer came down. It's like, "Are you gonna come down?" I'm like, no. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna sit here and wait. So we waited, and I realized I have to come down. So I came down, and he punished me, took me to my mom. So I was really mad at my sister. I didn't talk to her until I left. So we left that morning, and then I went to Tongafield and stayed with my uncle. My uncle, when I arrived in Tongafield, he put me through school, and everything was good. I went to school until I was 7, and then by then the war had already started. The war was started by a guy named Fazineh Ava. This guy, he was a corporal in the Sierra Leone army. He and his group tried to overthrow the government, but they failed. And then the government executed his friends, and they released him because he was younger. So he ran to Liberia and get support, and then started the Sierra Leone Civil War. And when he started the Civil War, he said he was going to bring education, equal rights and justice. He was going to distribute the natural resources equally to the people. So people were enthusiastic, and some people started fighting for him. And then people realized it was worse than the government, because his fighters had no regard for civilians. They were killing civilians left and right. So people stopped fighting for him. Because of that, he couldn't gain fighters anymore. He changed his strategy. What he would do is he would go capture a town, kidnap a bunch of kids, take them to camp, train them, and use those kids to go capture the next town. So by the mid-90s, when I was 7, when they attacked Tonga, the RAF was huge. And I got taken. They took me to camp, and they trained me. The training was just like dismantling an AK-47 and putting it back together. And then they started using me to go capture the next town. But I've always wanted to escape. I've never wanted to be with them, because what they were doing to civilians, even though I was 7, I knew it was really, really wrong, and I didn't want to be part of that. But I can't escape, because if I escape, the soldiers catch me, they will execute me on the spot, because I've been with the RAF. So it's like, that was the place where I was at. So when we capture a town, and what we do, we have something called Operation Pay Yourself. You pay yourself, because we don't get paid. You go to the town, if you capture the town, everything you want, you take it, it's yours. So I went to this house, and I was looking around, I saw a school uniform on the ground. So I took the uniform and put it in my backpack. And then I walk out of town and pretend as if I'm going around looking, and I got to the edge of town, and I made a run for it. I ran, and then I dropped my weapon, I changed into the school uniform, and I went to the nearest military checkpoint. And then they asked me, "Are you RAF?" I'm like, "No, I'm a student." Like, "Did you see them?" I'm like, "I didn't see them. I heard them shooting, and I ran." And then they let me through. So I went back to Tongafield, because by then the government has retaken Tongafield from the RAF. I went to Tongafield. My uncle wasn't there anymore. His house has been ramshacked, and I didn't have anywhere to go. But the kids I went to school with at that point were like Like Bobby, he was like the boss in town. He got a gun, and he was a soldier now. And like Bobby was even, like he was even strong. I used to beat him up when we played. And it's like, if you want to survive, come with me, I'll take you to the army. Because by then, the government was trying to build the army up to fight the RAF, so they will recruit anyone. It's like, I'll take you to the army, you join, and you have a place to stay, you will have food. So I went with him, I joined the army, and I got transferred to another place. So the place I got transferred to, I met someone who said, oh, I saw your uncle, he has returned back to Tongafield, and he started his business again. So at AWOL, it's a military term for absence without leave, where you just go. You don't tell anyone you're going. You get really punished if you get caught, but fortunately I made it. I went to my uncle, and then he put me back to school, and I went back to school until I was 13. The RAF came back again. Because what was happening is Tonga is rich in diamonds, and they needed the diamonds to win the war. They needed diamonds because they had people come in helicopters with guns. In the helicopters, they drop them down in the jungle, and then they exchange the guns for diamonds from these commanders. So the diamond places were really, really important. So when they came, when I was 13, I lost a lot of people that I care about, a girl that I was in love with, and my friends, so I escaped. When I escaped, I went to Kenema. I was really, really angry. For the very first time, I believed in the war. I wanted to fight. So I went and joined the army, and then we went on my first mission. They trained us for a little bit, and then they sent us on our first mission to capture a town called Panguma. And when we went and captured Panguma, there was this guy, his name was Corporal Bori. He was a corporal in the army, and he saw that I had potential because I was the only kid who read. Most of the kids didn't care about reading, and I would read, and he thought that was a potential, and he tried to show me the way, but I wouldn't listen because I was bent on vengeance. But when we captured Panguma, we lost about 30 soldiers, and we killed about 50 rebels, RAF rebels. And our lieutenant told us, he said to bury our men, the soldiers, and leave the RAF on the ground. And we didn't understand why, but you don't disobey orders. So we did that. 2 days later, a delegation came from the city with journalists and cameramen, and then they took pictures of the dead RAF on the ground. And then they went, and that's when they allowed us to bury the RAF. And then a few days later, this same Corporal Boris showed me a newspaper on the front page. There's a picture of the dead RAF on the front page of the newspaper, and it says the government soldiers took over the town from the RAF. They only had 1 soldier killed and 1 soldier injured, and there are like 50 dead RAF. And I was here though, because I felt like the guys who sacrificed their life to take over the town are not even talked about. And that's when Corporal Boris said, that's war. Everything is a lie. You're just a pawn being used. It's not going to benefit you. The people who benefit from this war don't even have to shoot a gun. All they have to do is send in guns and take diamonds back. And that's when I realized that I don't want to be caught up in this way. So I started staying away from the war as much as I can. And there's times when you get caught up in situations where you have to choose side, and I choose side for a little bit and I escape as soon as I can. When the war ended, I met someone from Canada and I tried to come here. I applied, but it didn't work out. So someone showed me the internet. That was in 2005 when someone showed me the internet, and he said, you can go in there and you can Google whatever you want. You search whatever you want. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. But back then they had Yahoo search. I don't know what happened to them. So I went on the internet. We have like little cafes, and I searched corrupt officials, Sierra Leone government, and a bunch of names come out. There is a website in the state that's been keeping track on corrupt officials in Africa. So I took those names and tried to make it into music, went to the studio, get the album recorded, and I took the album, which was really anti-government, the same government I fought for, but now we have democracy, because when the war ended, we had democracy, but people didn't know what it means to go vote, and people didn't think they fought the government, it didn't change anything. People didn't realize if they vote it would change. But I knew, because our election was being surveillanced by the UN, I knew if people vote against the government, it would change and we'll get new people who had nothing to do with all the activities that have happened in the country. So I put all that in the songs. So I gave it to the first DJ, I'm like, put it on the radio, he listened to it, and then it's like, come on, man, don't ever do that. I have kids, I have a wife, and I love my life. Don't ever give me that, because I don't want to get in trouble with the government. But then I ended up finding a dreadlocks guy, DJ bass, and I give him the CD, and he's like, yeah. He listened to it, like, this is what I've been waiting for all along, something that really means something. So he played it on the radio station, and within 2 months, he was all over the country. It was called Me Padidum, and like, I started getting text messages on my phone, like, we're gonna get you, we're gonna look for you. So I would like sleep, I would sleep different places every night. I'll go sleep to my friend here, and then I'd go to the other place. I'm always on the move. And then I went back to the Canadian consul, and then I'm like, well, all I did was release an album. Now my government is trying to kill me. Can you guys see if you can check, bring out my document again, because I've already applied to come, if you guys can help me come to Canada. And then they check it, and then they're like, oh, we'll do some investigation. And then next thing I know, I got my visa to come to Canada. I got permanent resident because I had someone here. So when I came to Canada in 2007, I arrived in the airport in Alberta, in Calgary, and it was in July. I got out of the plane, and I had a jacket on, because when I got out of the plane, I was like, wow, it's cold, it's different. And I put a jacket, and I put a toque on, and then some people came to pick me up at the airport. They're like, what's wrong, you cold? I'm like, yeah, man, it's cold here. Like, oh, you have no idea what cold is. And then winter came. It's like, oh, that's what they mean. I got it. So I worked in the oil field, and then I later came to Vancouver Film School. That's where I met Ava, and I was going through a lot, because for the very first time at Vancouver Film School, I had to deal with my problems. Because during the war, my mentality was like, I know like there were a lot of kids who like lost their parents, and when they get in the war, when they're fighting, they don't think about themselves because they're so eager to revenge, and most of them died. So I thought the best way to survive during then was to bury whatever happened to me and not think about it, so I can concentrate on what's happening. So that was my idea of survival. But when I get to Vancouver Film School, now it's the opposite. The teachers want me to deal with my problems, my pains, my past, to go back there and deal with it. Anarchy, like my whole life was upside down, and I met Ava, and she helped me through that process, and other good teachers helped me through that process, and I was able to deal with most of the things I was going through, and then we created Innocence Lost Foundation.
So for the Sierra Leone Civil War, even though it ended in the early 2000s, there's still a lot of poverty across the country, and a lot of people were affected by the war. So we decided, since Fazineh comes from Sierra Leone and he knows the culture and the people, and we have connections back there still, we thought that would be a good place to start for our first project. So for our first project, we're going to build a community center in Sierra Leone. And we're going to help the people there. We want to end the cycles of poverty and abuse from being passed down. People that went through the war, help them with dealing with their issues and post-traumatic stress disorder and trauma that they're going through. We're going to have a medical clinic there. We're going to have a water well. We're going to have education programs, skills training programs, and the art and sport programs that we were talking about. So a big thing for us is the art programs, because in Vancouver Film School, Fazineh started to deal with some of the things that he'd been through writing, acting, and music. He's a musician as well. And it just expressing the things that you've gone through art is like a very healing process. So we decided that that's something we really want to focus on, as well as all the other programs that we're going to have at the community center. And we're going to have this open to the community because everyone there was affected by the war, but we're going to target children that were used in the war that missed out on their education, who are now in their 20s or early 30s that were children during the war, get them into programs so that they can get their schooling back up, so that they can have more opportunities for jobs, get the skills training programs happening. We want a lot of women and girls in the country can't read or write, because if a family has to decide which child to send to school, they'll usually pick a boy. You have to pay for school fees in Sierra Leone still, so we want to target kids from parents that can't afford to send them to school and get them into the programs as well. We have amazing architects that we've been working with. They've done the whole project for us pro bono, so we have all of our building plans ready to go. This is one angle of the 3D model. We have many different buildings that are going to be part of the center that can be built in phases, and a lot of outdoor spaces. So this is another 3D model of the whole site, and we're going to have a multi-purpose room, the admin building with the medical clinic, a playground and a daycare, the classroom wing, library, computer labs, the studio wing with the studio spaces, and a soccer field at the back because it's a big sport that they love to play there, and kids love to play soccer in the country. And so for this, our overall goal is $200,000 to purchase the land and do the first phase of building. And the land is 25,000 Canadian dollars for 3.5 acres, and we've actually already hit that goal. So just at the end of last year, we made 25,000. So now we're working towards the rest of the money for the solar panels and the first 2 buildings. And so that's what we've been doing. So we've been fundraising, and we have all these amazing volunteers that have been helping us. We go around to schools, we talk about what we've been doing. We have a jewelry line that we have. Oh, and we had a concert. In October, there was a Trading a Gun for a Guitar concert that we're going to have as an annual event. Many different musicians performed, including Fazineh, and we raised almost $10,000 at that event in October. So we want to have that continue, and we want to have, here's some of the pictures of the event. So we want to have more events like that, more community events. We have a jewelry line that our volunteers make. So we have people that come together, we make jewelry, and 100% of the money goes to the foundation. We have some examples with us today, and we have a t-shirt line as well. So we're proud to say that 100% of the money that we make from selling these items and from all donations that we receive goes directly to the project. So the administration costs and the cost of running the foundation come out of our own pockets. So Fazineh and I cover the cost of running the foundation, as well as my family is on board with that, helping us cover things like our website and printing, so that any money that we receive as donations doesn't go to those things, it goes directly to the project. And as we continue to grow, we have sponsors and business sponsors that are going to be coming on board to help us continue to cover those costs so that we can always say 100% of the money that we're receiving from the public and donations goes to the project. School outreach that we've been doing, we go around BC, we've been talking to schools. The last year, 2015 was really the year where we really started fundraising and doing all of our school outreach. So we come to schools like your guys's and we speak. A lot of schools have been starting up fundraising clubs or Innocence Lost Foundation clubs. So if anybody here is super interested in the cause and in child soldiers and interested in what we're doing, we're totally open to you guys having one here as well. And one of the fundraisers that we've started in schools is a community talent show. So in a theater like this, you guys have a great space to do something like that. We had our first one in Chilliwack. And it was a talent show that was open to the students and members of the community. We had judges and we had auditions for it and prizes. So that was a fundraiser that we did in the fall in Chilliwack at the first school. Actually, my old high school started it there. And so that's something we want to spread out to all different schools across the Lower Mainland and BC.
And Shaw is trying to make this one into a TV show too. So it's like
yeah, we have Shaw TV on board to broadcast.
So when it happens, they will interview the performers and broadcast the whole thing.
So that's another project we're working on to grow as a fundraiser, but also a way for the community to be involved in the foundation. And it ties in with the art expression because we believe everybody has a talent and they can use it in different ways to help. So that's something that we had. And so there's many volunteer opportunities. If anything in this presentation sparked your interest, please get in touch with us and let us know. We have all the opportunities with the fundraising and events that are happening. And then also when we come to the point of going to Sierra Leone to start building the project, we're always going to be looking for volunteers to come as well. So keep that in mind for the future.
And the war is over.
Yes. And the good thing about the Ebola outbreak is over now too. So they had Ebola happening in the country. Just as Sierra Leone, their economy was starting to pick up and they're starting to rebuild after the war. It's been about 10 years. then they had the Ebola outbreak. So that was something that hit the country pretty hard. Schools got shut down for a little while, so it was a little bit difficult. And so now, luckily, the Ebola outbreak is over too, so Sierra Leone's back on the rebuilding and continuing to grow in their economy. So that's really cool. And so we know you guys all have your really cool phones. You can pull them out. We're totally fine if you take out your phones and follow us on Instagram right now. Go ahead and do it. Or Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is that you prefer. Please get in touch with us. And we don't have anyone here taking pictures, so if you guys want to take pictures, you can take some pictures of the presentation and share them as well. And I think that's coming to the end of our presentation, but we have some time for questions. So let's just put up the next slide here. This is our contact info if you guys want to get in touch with us. Our email and our website. On our website, you have access to the online store as well. So we have jewelry and we have some t-shirts that we brought with us as samples. But you know, if you want to just take a look at that and you think later on in the future as a gift or a gift for yourself, you can check out our online store too. We have all of that available. So, Ms. Reed, I think we have some time for questions.
Yeah, we do. We have a few moments for sure. Yeah. Any questions from the audience? Anybody want to start the? Yes, ma'am.
Are you guys going to be doing another one of those talent shows?
Yeah, we would really love to do them all throughout the year in different schools across BC and eventually have it be a BC-wide thing. So we've done the first one in Chilliwack. We want to do one potentially at this school if you guys are interested in doing that. We want to do them West Bend, North Bend, Vancouver as well. So we totally are planning to do many, many more. So yeah, if it's something you're interested in, please get in touch with us.
Yeah, I will.
Awesome.
You said you had a concert thing, the Trade a Gun for a Guitar.
Yeah.
If a band possibly wanted to be involved in that,
Just hypothetically, band opening.
Yeah, our idea for Trading a Gun for a Guitar, it's going to be like an annual event that we put on, and every year it's going to continue growing. And like a dream goal for it would to be like a music festival. So definitely as it, next year in October, or this year I guess, because we're in 2016 now. This year in October we're going to have another one, and then the next year it's going to keep growing and growing. So definitely.
Yeah, just let us know, keep in touch.
Put your band in there.
Any other question?
I've got one. Oh, go ahead, please.
It's your first winter in Canada.
Oh man, it's not like anything I've ever imagined. Cause I used to love Triple X. I don't know, it's like an action movie, and I thought snow was actually cool. Cause guys riding a skidoo, and they're doing this shooting, and I thought, yeah, this is awesome. But it was horrible. I'm not gonna lie. After 2-3 years, because I was working in the oil field, I worked for Halliburton and a little bit. I was working in the fracking department, and I wasn't prepared for the burning sensation in your fingers and the snot freezing on your face mask. I told my mom, I said, the first time I told her, I called her on the phone, I said, the lake froze. She was like, ha, 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 ha. Oh, you think because you're out there now you can tell me anything? I'm like, okay. And I told her I left a water bottle in my car, and the water bottle froze. She's like, it's not possible. How can you leave a water bottle in your car? You're outside working, you didn't freeze, but your water bottle froze. And I didn't know how to explain that to her, so I just...
But the first time you saw snow, you didn't go to work?
No, yeah, the first time I saw snow, I panicked. I stayed home and covered. But yeah, now I can handle it a little bit better.
Do you keep in touch with a lot of people back home in Sierra Leone?
Yeah, because back home I'm a political activist. I have to stay active in the scene. But like my family, my mom, my sisters, I keep in touch with them. Yeah, I have to.
And then also in Kabala we have people that we know that have helped us with getting the budget together for building supplies and all of that kind of thing, and the chief of the town as well. So a cool thing about the town is they're super on board with the project.
They want it.
And they really want the community center, and the chief of the town is all ready for us, and he has some land picked out that could possibly work for the center. So they're just waiting for us to come over there to help build. And we really want the community to be super involved with the building too. It's going to be a mix of volunteers, but also we're going to hire local people to help with the building and running of the programs, because we want the community to feel ownership over the center. So we're very happy that they're super excited for us to come. And so it's just a fundraising thing right now, and once we get to that first level of fundraising, then we'll be able to go over and do it.
Yeah, it's important because when I was in Alberta, I was missing back home a lot. But when I came to BC, it got a lot better because like Freetown is almost kind of like BC with the water, the mountain. So that's kind of like almost kind of like home. And people are a lot more relaxed out here too.
End up in Calgary, coming from Sierra.
I know.
How do you end up in? I mean, this is a big country.
I know.
You know, there's a lot of different cities, but Calgary.
I didn't know the person that sponsored my program lived in Calgary. But even when I was in, I didn't know. No one told me Vancouver existed. They kept it, because if someone would have told me there's a place where it doesn't get really this cold, I would have left like right off the bat. But I found out later, and I found out by accident because I drove to Vancouver because I was coming to look for film school. And then I talked to people, and I was like, what is it like when it's snow here? And they're like, oh, it doesn't sound like, And then I came. Yeah, but that's why, because the only person I know in Canada lived in Calgary. But I'm here now.
So how long have you been out on the coast?
Since 2010. Since 2010, yeah. I came out here in 2010. And I don't think I'm going back. That's done.
What year was the Innocence Lost Foundation founded?
Yeah.
2013. Yeah. So we started in the summer of 2013, being incorporated as a nonprofit foundation. We did all of our paperwork, got our website set up. By Christmas, we started accepting donations, and it was mostly friends and family at that point who were supporting us. And then 2014, we spent the year like figuring out what our first project was going to be, working with our architects, getting the building plans together, and slowly starting a little bit of fundraising. And then 2015 has been the year where out of the we've raised 27,000 total since we started. And in 2015, we raised 23,000 of that. So in 2015 is when we really started getting out there, doing the fundraising and outreach and spreading awareness.
Yeah, because when we started, there's a lot of paperwork you have to do with the government. Every time you work with them, you have to do a lot of paperwork. That's just the way it is. We got through that, and then we have to figure out what kind of foundation we want it to be, like our ideals, our morals, our ethics, and how we're going to bring that into the foundation. So the first 2 years were actually pretty slow until last year when we kicked off.
And then now also, like, from speaking at schools and from just like starting to do more fundraisers and community things, our volunteers have grown a lot too. So we have a Facebook volunteer group where we post things, and it's like over 200 members now, which is pretty cool. So the volunteers are always keep growing. So you guys can feel free to join that too if you want to be involved or just get updates about what's going on. You can join that. And the other thing that we did in 2015 is we applied for charity status. So we're a nonprofit foundation right now, which means we can operate as a nonprofit and accept donations for the project and everything. But when we get charity status, we can issue tax receipts to donors. So that comes into play with large corporations or large donations from people. People can then write it off of their taxes. So we applied for charity status in 2015 as well. So we're just waiting to hear back about that. So hopefully when that comes through, the donations will go up a lot too. Because we have a lot of other foundations interested in us as well, and people who want to make large donations, but they're just waiting until we get that charity status, and then they'll start donating because they want the receipt.
Are you guys selling all of this today?
Yes, we are.
Are you like accepting cards?
Yeah, I have it's called Square. I have a Visa and MasterCard, but it doesn't take debit. It just takes a credit card. But yeah, if you don't have a credit card or cash, like it's totally fine. You can check out the stuff, and we have an online shop, so you can get your parents to look online with you.
And all the like funding goes to.
Yeah, 100% of the money that we receive from
degree now in Sierra Leone, are the natural resources now kept within the country, or is still a lot of it being exported by foreign companies?
Yeah, because the country is so poor, we can afford to like extract it and then exploit it at the same time. So we have to work with foreign companies. But before the Ebola crisis started, say like 4 years ago, it became the 7th fastest growing economy in the world because a lot of companies were willing to invest because it's pretty quick. Just invest, buy a plot of land if it's diamond or rutile. But then the Ebola crisis started, so everything went to ruins again. So we're just starting to get back on track. We still haven't even gotten to the place where we were 4 years ago. So I think it would be a good thing, an awesome thing, if we can afford to extract and exploit our mineral resources, but we just don't have the know-how. We still don't even have electricity. Because when I was a kid, I've never seen like a whole town have electricity. The first time I even saw a movie was when I went to my uncle's when I moved. Because when I was with my mom, I never even saw a generator. But my uncle, because he was a rich diamond dealer, he had a generator and he had electricity. And I remember how scary that was when I saw the lights came on at night that first time. But so we still don't have electricity. We still can produce electricity, but hopefully that will change.
And in the capital city, Freetown, on the coast, it's a lot more progressed. But in like the rural towns and in areas like in Kabala, where we want to build the center, there's still no running water. People have to go to wells to fetch water, and then the electricity, you have to have a generator in order to have electricity. So that's why we really want to have solar panels at our center, and we want to introduce that too to hopefully become something that more people can use.
That's a good question. Any other question?
I've got one more. You were a child soldier. I'm trying to get this straight. You were a child soldier, music artist. You've been in film, and now social activist. Is there any sort of advice with? Oh, and you worked in the oil patch in Alberta. Any sort of advice for other people in terms of following a career? Music, film, the oil patch, what should audience members be focusing on once they get out of high school?
Well, this is the thing. It's nice to have a dream, because like being in, like doing music and movies, it's a dream I always had. Since the very first time I saw my uncle turn his TV on and I saw those, I was just captivated by the people in that box. And later I started learning this thing called camera, and it got filmed. But it became my dream, and it kept me alive. Because there have been so many times when I felt like giving up. I felt like it's not worth it to starve every day, and the same thing is gonna happen tomorrow, and I know for sure it's gonna happen the day after. So there's been times when I wanted to give up, but because I had that dream and it was so valuable and so personal to me, I treasured it to the point where I would even tell people, because I was ashamed of what they would think of me, because it's like, what are you doing? But I kept it alive. No matter what the situation, if you have dreams, it will help center your life. And no matter how hard it gets, no matter how impossible it is, as long as it's a dream that's gonna benefit you and benefit people, not harm you or harm other people, I think you should hold on to it. And there are times when you can't go right away for your dream. Like, there are times when you have to get a job. There's times when you have to get a place to stay, because you can't pursue your dream if you can't eat. You can't like go out there and go run after your dream. So sometimes you have to put your dream to the side, but it's not like you're giving it up, but you just have it there. And if you have to work, but then figure out how you're gonna pursue that dream. It's sad if you give up on it, because if you give up on it, it's like that's the only time you lost the dream. Because as long as you have it, as long as you believe in it, I believe it will come true.
And for me, it's like similar but different because I was born here, but I had a dream of going to acting school and to do film. So for me, I was lucky that my family was very supportive of me, and when I moved to Vancouver from Chilliwack, I attended film school in 2011. And lots of family friends all the time always tell me, oh, that's great that you're going to do that, figuring like, oh, in a year or two I would be doing something else or like give up on it. And they're like, what's your backup plan? And I would always be like, no, this is actually what I want to do, you know? And so when I went to film school in 2011 and I graduated, since then, from then till now, I haven't had another job that's not in the film industry. So I've always been working, I did modeling, I do background work on set, I still do that while I'm auditioning. So I'm always still going after it, and it's possible to make it work because I live on my own in a one-bedroom apartment in Vancouver, and I pay my bills all through acting and modeling. So it is possible to do. You just have to believe in it and want it, and you just have to go after it and continue.
And it's not easy.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard
Sometimes
work.
it's not easy. You have to like really believe and work at it. Except if you have something else to act to it.
And my brother wanted to, like when he was around the time of graduating high school, wanted to go to Alberta and work in the oil fields to try and get some money. And Fazineh said to him,
And he talked to me.
yeah,
and that
Fazineh
was
said
it.
to him, like, don't go. He's like, I was more depressed in Alberta in the oil fields than I was during the war in Sierra Leone. He's like, because he realized when he was there what he was doing to the environment, and even though he was making money, he wasn't happy. So
Yeah, well the thing is, being happy too is like it has a lot, because I didn't know, like when I started fracking, because fracking is like the worst. Like there are other jobs in the oil field, but fracking is like really, really terrible. But I didn't know. When I started working in fracking, I thought, because the technology was so advanced, yeah.
I don't know if they all understand what fracking is.
You guys know what fracking is?
I think, yeah, if you could explain
Oh,
that, then they'll understand just how.
So there's a bunch of trucks, like we'll pack a bunch of trucks and have fluids in these trucks that are like pumps and trucks that pump this fluid that have a bunch of chemicals in it, mixed with sand, down into the ground and open up holes, which in the end would trigger oil to come out of it. So we were like one of the guys that drive these trucks and pump the fluid into the ground. But for me, I was like, these guys are so advanced, man. If they can create this truck, I thought they had a way of extracting the fluid back out of the ground. That's what I thought for the first 2 months. And then finally someone said, no, dude, we don't. What are you talking about? Well, pump it, because pump the chemicals in the ground. And I remember one time I spilled on myself. The fluid spilled on me. And my supervisor got really concerned. It's like, you gotta go in there, you gotta go they have a special room where you go shower. And then they gave me a book to read that, like there was like more than 30 different cancers I can get from coming in contact. Stay away from it, and like a safety thing. So that's when they ruined it for me, plus the code. But like in the war, it's like the reason why I was happier in the war, because in the war I wasn't the only one going through it. And it's like when something happens, it's like it's either you get extremely sad and then it's over, because it's sadness, you cry, and then you get it out of the way, and someone says something, and then you play and laugh, right? And or you get, and something funny happened. But for me, my experience when I was in the oil field, I was just, it's me, I go to work, I come home, I had no one to talk to, so it was just like, it was just dark. And then I realized what's depression, because for me depression, I associated it with sadness, and then I realized that sadness and depression is just that state where you keep sinking down and you can't get out of it. But I would rather do the oil field than fight a war, because in war you get killed.
You don't die.
Yeah, in the oil field you don't, but it got to me. Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, please give a warm round of applause.
koto wuri minangima.
e accidin tuba man nangen no yalti sare den no satti yimbe ben no tampi hay jibe ben no feti kini onon kadi non tampina men do fi mbudi tertola
Mi inni en yadai.
o feti
But seriousness. But killing hard. One ship around. Ship like Kakamo, eh. But seriousness. But killing hard. One ship around. Ship like Kakamo, eh. Now we election done here. Then corrupt and no see them kind. Then sabi bureaucrats carry and no see them kind. They say that they can build bridge from Pirton to Lunge. Now social life. I hate body where they and me woman no. Hey. La boss no yan me woman I don't talk on. See I get me body with me woman. Now see they kill the monkey shadow. I go broken neck yeah. Push out. Woman party then a dog man I no see them kind. Then Congosa I no see them kind. Woman party then a land kilos caddy I no see them kind. Then a fat for man caddy I no see them kind. Woman party then discussions in not a Congosa and a man talk. Woman party then young see them make palava. Then they pull them secret all nado. No, tata. But seriousness. But killing hard. One ship around. Shift like Kakamo, eh. But seriousness. But killing hard. One ship around. Shift like Kakamo, eh. Where they tip you cassette and left the empty case in your hand. Somebody then dead, then they didn't care. Then the jack. Gonna see jack no more than a finger pocket you. No more jack. Where they can find you pot, then a fire, then a slip now